Now those of you who have been watching my channel for a while might find it hard to believe, but as a boy, I was a bit of an asshole. And over the years, I came up with this wonderful, horrible, terrible, evil game called The Worst Thing You Can Possibly Say Game. And the rules of the game are simple. When I would find myself in a situation where I'm talking to somebody and I suddenly realize, 1, they don't know my name, 2, there's no way they can find out my name, and 3, if I run away afterwards, they can never find me and I'll never see them again. And if all 3 of those conditions were met, I would look at that person and I would just blurt out the worst thing I could possibly say. For example, back in the 12th grade, my school was having a clothing drive, and my job was to pick up all the bags of clothing from the homerooms and take them out to the front of the building and help this lady load up her truck. And she was a beautiful, vivacious 20-year-old woman. And she's flirting with me, and she's being so cute. But as we load up that last bag, I realize, 1, she's only flirting with me because that's the way she acts. I don't have low self-esteem, but if she was really into the dick, she would have just grabbed on it and gave it a little toot. Because that's what a woman does when she's in love. The second thing I realized was that she had already forgotten my name, because when it was time to thank me for all my work, she didn't say, "Oh, thank you, Smedge McKing. You're so nice and wonderful, and I'd love to give your penis a toot." She said, "Oh, thanks so much for your help, guy." And the third thing, she did not have time to go inside and ask somebody who I was in case I was to fuck with her. So she's pulling in that last bag of laundry, and she's going, "What a beautiful spring aroma. Can you smell that?" And I look at her and I go, "Girl, that's just my butthole stink." And as I say this, I'm already backing towards the front door, and I can just see her beautiful face turn into an expression of, "What the fuck did he just say?" And as her brain is processing it, I'm already long gone. I run down a hallway and I'm just laughing like a retard. And for the rest of her life, she has to wonder if she actually heard me correctly. She'll be lying in bed in the dead of night going, "Did that young man say it was his butthole stank? Was that beautiful smell actually his butthole stank? And why is it that I can't make my butthole stank smell that scrumptious and delicious?" Now in that situation, I had won the game. I said the weird funny thing and I got away with it. But there was a condition where I could in fact lose the game. Now I had not thought of this game in years until last night when a 20-year-old round of the worst thing you could possibly say went from a W to an L. I was invited to a party at a friend's house. We're chilling out. We're having a good time. I haven't seen this boy in years, and most of his friends are complete strangers to me. And as I'm making my way around the room, introducing myself, cracking jokes and sliding my finger in and out of their butt cheeks and making them smell it, and if they go, "Ooh, that's gross," I go, "Wait a second. Whose fault is it? Me for putting your glistening butthole juices on my finger and making you smell it, or you for having a stanky, nasty, disgusting butthole in the first place?" And I notice there's a big, fat, ugly woman sitting on the other side of the room with her arms folded, giving me the old stank eye. Now, frankly, I enjoy getting in arguments with fat women because, unlike pretty women, not only could the argument end with hot, passionate sex, but also with free food. So I saunter over to this punisher of couches, and she says, "You know what? I wasn't sure when you first walk in, but now that you're close, I know exactly who you are." And I said, "I'm Smedge McKing, bitch. What you talking about?" And she blurts out my real name, and she says, "Do you remember graduation day of 8th grade, you said the most horrible, terrible, mean thing to me?" And I suddenly went, "Oh no." And now, of course, I didn't remember what I had done, because to her, it was the most destructive, terrible, horrifying day of her life. But to me, it was a Tuesday. And she points at me with her chubby finger, with chubby sweat dribbling off it, and slapping her on her chubby knees. And she says, "I was sitting there in my cap and my gown, feeling wonderful for graduating middle school. And there you were talking with the most beautiful girl in class, sliding your finger in and out betwixt her butt cheeks and making her smell it. And then when she says ew, you blamed her for it for having her own stanky butt. And now I didn't remember that, but that did sound like something I would do. And now there's a crowd getting around us. And she says, you were talking to that girl about what you're doing after graduation. And she said she's going to celebrate by going to Baskin Robbins. And while talking, she said that it wasn't possible to know all 31 flavors of Baskin Robbins. And that's when you son of a bitch, you turned and pointed at me. And you said she knows all 31 flavors. In fact, she's got ideas for flavors number 32 through 37. And our people are laughing at a thing that I did 20 years ago, and she's suddenly realizing that other people find it funny, and she's getting a little irate, a little angry. And she said, why don't you apologize? I can't help that I'm a plus-size girl. My mama was a big girl. My daddy was a big girl. We're all big girls in my family, and how dare you body shame me? And now the laughter is kind of calming down, and people are kind of looking at me like I'm an asshole. And I suddenly remembered the rules of the game. Even though she was screaming and fussing and fighting and gnashing her teeth at me, all I had to do to win was make my escape. So I creep in real nice and close, and I say to her, just loud enough for everyone to hear, well, is it true? Do you know all 31 flavors? And she goes, motherfucker! And she pulls out from between the couch cushions a 2-liter bottle of soda she had been drinking, and she throws it at me, and it bounces off of me and hits the cute girl in the face, and she's going, ah, my nose, ah! And there's a commotion, and there's a ruckus, and I get the fuck on out of there, and I slip into a bedroom. And I'm standing there in the dark, huffing and puffing and covering my face because I don't want to laugh and have people hear me laughing and know where I am. And that's when I realized I could not let it end there. I had already caused a commotion. There was no going back. Why try to put out a fire when you can dance in the flames like a red devil with your bare ass and butt cheeks and cock and balls flipping and flopping all over the place like a retarded fist with Parkinson's disease? And just as I'm making that decision to turn back and go to the party and have just a little bit more fun, I hear from across the room, baby, is that you? And the windows are shuttered, and there's moonlight cascading through the tiniest slit in the shutters. And there on the bed, I see a woman that I recognize as the girlfriend of the friend who invited me to his house. And unbeknownst to this bitch, I do a damn good impression of her boyfriend. So I go,
yes, darling, it's me.
And she goes, oh, baby, I know your friends are here, but I'm not feeling so good. Why don't you come just lay with me in bed? And I go,
yes, darling, I think I will.
And I start spooning with her in bed, except I let her be the big spoon because I'm generous like that. And she starts whispering in my ear, oh, baby, all those people around outside, it's getting me a little hot. Why don't you talk dirty to me, baby? You know, I always tell you my sexual fantasies. You never tell me yours. And now look, I was not going to fuck my friend's girlfriend without his permission, but I was not against ruining their relationship just for fun. So continuing to pretend to be my friend, I go,
well, darling, do you remember back in the day, Six Flags had that commercial with Mr. Six, the old dancing man?
She's like, yeah, where you going with this? I wanted to hear your sexual fantasies.
And I said, now wait, honey, wait. This might sound a little strange, but as a child, I would always watch those commercials with that jaunty old man bipping and bopping and having just a wonderful time, and I would imagine that one day I would be just like him.
And now she's getting a little weirded out. She's like, baby, what are you talking about? And I go,
remember that part in the commercial where everyone's getting on the bus, the children, the men, and the women? I always imagined that I would be him, and just as the last couple is piling in, I'd let the husband on, and I'd tell the woman to stop. I'd hold up my hand and dance in place, and the bus would pull out and go to Six Flags, and everyone would have a wonderful time, but I'd just be standing there in the middle of the road with that woman.
And now she's getting into it. She's like, baby, I don't know where you're going with this, but I think I'm going to like it. So I continue.
And you know, he does that dance where he's like, la da 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 do da ra da da ba ba bu da ra da ti do be da ra do ti bu ti do. And now she's gonna start dancing too. Ra da ti be And we go to her house. We go up the staircase. And it cuts to everyone else at Six Flags having fun. We're then back to us in the bedroom. I start dancing out of my clothes. She dances out of her clothes. And now I'm fucking her from behind to the rhythm of the song. And I come on her back. But I keep on slapping them cheeks so the cum is bouncing with the beat. And she turns around and says, baby, cuddle with me. And I shake my head no and dance the fuck on out of there. And the bus comes back and everyone gets out. And I get in and drive away. And her husband comes in the room and it smells like disgusting old man sex. And he knows what happens and he looks at her like he hates you. He hates that vile slut. But he can't go away because he knows that pussy's so good. Even Mr. Six Flags gets a piece. And 3 months later they're in the doctor's office and the doctor puts his stethoscope right up on the pregnant woman's belly. And he smiles. And he puts the earbuds in the woman's ears. And she smiles. And the husband's going, what is it? Is it the baby's heart beating? And the doctor and the woman smile at him. And they click on the x-ray. And there's a little dancing baby going. And by this point, she has figured out that I am not her boyfriend. She's like, who the fuck is this? What the fuck are you talking about? And why is my pussy so wet? And she takes her stanky pussy fingers and she rubs it on the back of my neck. It feels like a bunch of slugs taking a shit. I come a little bit. The door flies open. My friend goes, what the fuck is going on in here? So I said, fuck it. I jump up, I'm dancing. I'll dance past them. I dance past the fat girl. I put a bunch of shrimp in my pocket and head for the door. The door shuts behind me. I sprint to my car. I'll probably never talk to those people again. But you know what? It was worth it. And I highly suggest that if you find yourself in a situation with somebody that you know you will never see again, just fuck with them a little bit. Yeah, sure, it might bite you in the ass a day later, a month later, 20 years later. But a day, a month, 20 years of laughter is worth it. I hope that you have learned a vital lesson from this video. I'm not sure what the fuck it is, but thanks for your time and goodbye.